guy located at Woodstock, Georgia, 30 miles north of Atlanta. I am running a Viking Ranger driving an AR-1200, 300 watts of carrier, peaks up to about 1200 watts. By the receiver 75A4 pounds, and the antenna tonight has an inverted V for 40 at 42 feet. And that's the rundown there. Incidentally, Brian, front of the microphone sounds very good. I mean, your audio sounds, I would say exactly what you sound on AM. On the AM transmitters, the port moduli transmitters, I meant to say. But it does sound quite good. Another thing, I was surprised. I know this Ranger becomes quite stable. And I think I told you I have two fans on the Ranger, and they do stabilize it quite a bit. And I had it on maybe 20 minutes before I talked to you. I zeroed you, and I am still dead zero with you, and I'm sure you're much more stable than I am. And I didn't think this thing was quite that stable, but it has not moved. The receiver moved a little bit, and I had to do that, but other than that, the Rangers still beat with you. So, of course, the fans are doing the job. They're keeping the temperature change down to minimal in the Video Ranger. That's a real question. Just thought I'd ask. Would you have a low voltage transformer around for a Viking 2? You have all kinds of stuff up there. I wouldn't be surprised you probably replaced it for your time on a low voltage transformer for a Viking 2. Mine developed a shock. It did not blow the fuse, but smoke when it came out. It just smelled like that old installation just terrible. That was a few years ago now, about 3 or 4. I haven't done anything with it, but I don't know. I just started to ask to see if you might have one line around there, because they do tax those things, and I was doing something I think that I probably contributed to it shorting, probably a little bit too much of an effort. At the time I was not, I had chose the 504, so I did take that filament off the transformer as soon as I found out how hot it was. So again, hello to you there, Book, and up to Brian, N3TBW, Wb4Lol, K3LQB.
Yeah, good evening from Annapolis, WA3VJB. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Paul, okay, WA3VJB. Yeah, I'll get it over to you here in a sec. Yeah, good evening to you and the crew here. So very good there, Larry. Well, I'll have to look. I'll see what I got. Low voltage transformer for a Viking 2. Okay, so I'll have to look that up and see what the voltages are. I mean, I probably got something that was somewhere around close in there, down there, but I probably would, whether it would fit in there or not, I don't know. I think they're just regular chassis mount transformers, from what I recall. I owned a Viking 2 and a Viking 1 at one time, but that's been years and years ago. Well, okay, I'll have to try to write that down and try to remember next time I'm looking around in my transformer stash there. So I'll let you know if I can, if I find something that'll work in there. I'll send it down to you. So very good there, Larry. And you're I zero beated you, Larry, and you're about 254 kilohertz above above what I was transmitting on, which was 7290, and I guess this transmitter's pretty close. But I just moved the to where I could see the pointer right dead on your frequency, which was 7290.254. So you're 254 hertz, and yeah, that Ranger is pretty stable. It's holding stable well there. Yeah, I don't know if you did any of the other stuff to the Rangers. How you have to, whether you took the solid state of the power supplies or any of that kind of stuff. Well, sometimes that helps on some of the heat that then build up. But if you have enough fans on them, that'll take care of the heat issue if you keep them cool. So very good there, Larry. And there, Buck, the 710 I think is real similar to the Yaesu FTDX10, and they can be made to sound really good on AM. It's just a matter of where the settings are. You have to play around with it. But like Larry says, you probably could you'd have to muck around with it. So it's probably, if you're going to use sideband mostly, I wouldn't suggest changing too much. But I can hear you fine here. There's no problem at all. You got a good enough signal, and there's plenty of audio for me to copy you with 100% there. So we'll get Paul in here, and then WA3VJB, and then you can kick it over to Buck. His call is Wb4Lol, laugh out loud. So go ahead there. Wonder how you've been. This is N3TBW.
I'm doing fine, Brian. Nice to hear you guys on this evening. N3TBW and the group from WA3VJB. Hello to Buck there in Southwest Virginia. Wanted to give you a report from Annapolis. My name is Paul, as Brian pointed out. Location Annapolis, the capital of Maryland, and you're about 15 to 20 over 9 here on the old ITT McKay commercial shipping receiver. Came out of marine industry from about 1980. Sound good on it? Actually got it dialed in to 7291 or 92, so I can keep the passband open. There's some congestion on the low side of us, I guess, splashing up from 7285. And instead of squeezing the passband down, I just went to the high side of center frequency, which actually is closer to where Larry is. I have it zeroed to 7290, but on AM, that's one of the wonderful things about it, Buck, is that you don't have to be exactly precisely on a 0 or a 5 in order to be heard. Let me kick it back over to you, see how you're copying the others, and welcome to AM. This is a very enjoyable part of the hobby where I spend all my time on HF. I've been doing so for decades now, and it's really the place to be. It's where all the cool kids are. Wb4Lol and the group WA3VJB. Again, the name is Paul.
Okay, real good, Paul. Yeah, thanks very much for coming back to me there. As long as I don't blow up my amplifier or anything, just pushing it with 14 watts, but it seems to be doing about 500 there. So I'll have to look up online there, maybe some settings for AM there, and maybe get this thing set up properly there, so I can actually hold a decent QSO with you guys. Man, Paul, you sound amazing there, like an AM broadcast station should sound. Yeah, what kind of microphone are you running over there, Paul?
Oh, you caught me out of the room there. I was making a little air check recording for you. This is the younger sister to your RE20. This is the RE27. And it feeds an old RCA mixing console from the 1940s. And then that goes into an audio processor that came out of broadcast service as well. The transmitter is a current production Super Senior from Index Labs, about a 1/4 kilowatt. Go ahead.
Oh, that's some beautiful equipment, man. Sounds amazing. I'd love to see that. So you got a nice professional setup there just for AM. That's real good. I wonder, have you had a lot of problems with RF in your signal?
No, everything's balanced here. The broadcast standard is 600 ohm balance, and I've tried to replicate that from start to finish. And it really does a lot to keep the RF out of everything. And transmitter just feeds an inverted V, so there's no wire tuner to radiate here in the room either. And it seems to be the recipe for success. I agree with Larry that you could use a little more audio. I also agree with Brian that it's perfectly copyable the way it is. But at the same time there, if you're tweaking things just a little bit, if you have a scope, I would take a look at where you're at It's probably about 85 to 90% modulated. A little bit more headroom to drive things in the audio stages. Of course, you do have to watch out for your amplifier headroom, as Larry pointed out. I don't want to monopolize it. I really just wanted to extend the welcome mat to you there, Buck, and then kick it over to Larry after you make a transmission. If your Gmail address on QRZ is good, I shall email this recording to you so you can hear how you sound. Go ahead.
Okay, real good, Paul. I appreciate it, and thanks for answering my questions there. And back to you there, Larry from Wb4Lol.
Okay, Wb4Lol in the group. K3LQB returning fire. I want to see a little bit of light on this 101 DX10 deal. In fact, we talked about this, Brian. I have a 101 MP. I've had it for a couple of years, and I've tried everything that I know to try to get the 101 MP and 101 the DX10. I think has the same setup to get the audio peaks to achieve 4 times the kilo level. That's what you need to do to sound fairly modulated on a sideband rig. The best I can do on mine is maybe around, let's see, about 2 or 3, maybe 3 times possibly. Never even coming close to 4 times. And that's the reason why you're not getting full audio, and you may not be able to. Now, I know where you have your AMC set at. I found the best place to put it to get the most peaks. That is an AM now. I'm only speaking of AM. The AMC's got to be all the way up to 100. That means minimum control by the AMC, minimum control. But still, it does not allow it to go to 4 times the kilo level. First years will be wrong, but I have not been able to at least achieve 4 times the kilo level. And my 5,000 is no problem. I get all the audio I need, but I don't know if it has something to do with this AMC that Yaesu incorporated in the 101 series, the DX10, which a waste of time, but what do I know? But there's no doubt that they do not peak 4 times the kilo level. And unless there's something I'm missing, I don't know what it would be, but I'm all ears why that is. So let me load another call also. You sound quite good down here. I forgot I wanted to give you a report. You're hitting about 15 over 9 here on the A4. I'm running the Ranger drive in the AL1200 and the A4 for the receiver. And Brian, just after I said that, when I said it was dead zero, you checked, I was off frequency slightly. So it had moved since, I thought I was still dead, but I was not. So, no big deal. But it did move some. But the rate of movement is slowed way down with the cooling I have here. So I guess it would be back up to Brian there, N3 TVW, the group K3LQB.
Yeah, okay, Larry, K3LQB in the fine group here in the evening here on 40 meters. Yeah, this band's doing pretty well here. Copying everybody just fine. Not a whole lot of QSB, but being on the flex, like Paul mentioned, in a SDR type of receiver, you can move the filters out of the bandwidth of unwanted signals. So it works out quite well here when 40 meters. That's another reason I like using the flex in the evening time here on 40, because of that, where you got these broadcast stations that fire up above or below, or sometimes the frequency that you're operating on. So yeah, that's the way it goes. But yeah, I never played around with the FTDX10 to actually figure out how much audio the thing's putting out. I know in those settings you can get the more highs out of that out of the microphone, and yeah, I agree with you on the AMC control. I think I have mine set up at like 80 or 90, but from 80 or 90 to 100, I don't think makes any difference. But yeah, I think that's important to have that control up to that level, on at least for AM. You probably wouldn't want to leave it that way for sideband operation. I don't know if the 710 has all the features and menus like the link settings and stuff that has on the DX10, or whether it's all the same or not. I would assume it is, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I know there's some settings in there that you can adjust to get a little better response for AM use. So it I don't think it works as good whenever you go back to sideband, but I think you can shut that EQ off, and then put the EQ in setting. Put the EQ on and then have that set up like that. So yeah, it takes some fiddling around. You kind of have to listen to yourself and kind of go back and forth and try to figure out what setting actually works and what makes a difference, because some of those settings won't work on AM, they only work on sideband. So I noticed that that's an issue too. And then if you have the processor on or you don't have the processor on, then some of the settings are for that. So it's a little, that Yaesu is a little bit hard to understand for me. It's not straightforward like some of the other rigs are, but like I said, once you get the hang of it and you see which one actually makes a difference, you can make the change and get it to work pretty well on AM. I used that thing on 10 meters and got out fine with it. Using an amplifier with it or whatever, and I used it even without it, just with the 25 watt setting, and was able to make several AM contacts on it. So I know it'll work, so it's got to have a little bit of modulation there anyway. So we're usually AM guys usually hang up on the upper ends of the band. Now on 20, it's kind of wherever you can find a space. But generally on the 40 meters, we kind of hang out on the higher frequencies here. But then again, if you get with broadcast stations coming up, sometimes you got to move down in frequency to find a clear spot. But 40 meters AM is where I like to hang out. It's like I said, it works out real well in the evening, and even in the daytime, it does pretty well lately here. So, and yeah, Paul, you're really booming in here. You got a good signal here, probably 20 over, I'd say, on this flex anyway, which is, I would say, a fairly stingy meter on it. At least compared to a lot of my other transceivers and other things. So, but maybe it's more accurate. I don't know. So I guess it goes back over to you, Paul, and stick in here for another round. Then I'll probably have to start thinking about getting off the bed here soon, because I got another work day ahead of me. WA3VJB in the crew. This is M3TBW.
Yeah, very good, Brian. And we've had a station, one of the international broadcast stations, fire up above us as well. Hopefully we can still make a go of it here. Yeah, I sort of have to head for the door, too. The daylight savings time thing really kind of scrambles up the radio operating time in the evenings, because we get out with our 2 Labrador retrievers for a 90-minute hike, and sometimes we get started late because the sun's still pretty high in the sky, and then we have dinner, and then I come out here to see who's on the radio, and it's almost time for bed. So I know what you mean. Larry down in Georgia, I wanted to give you a signal report as well. You're doing quite well into Annapolis, and I think we've worked before. If not, nice to make your acquaintance and to hear you on 40 meters here in the evening. As Brian points out, it's a good place to hang out. We play a little bit of dodgeball with the international broadcast stations, but I usually operate from about 72, 72 or so all the way up to the top for Buck's benefit there if you're looking around for us. And on 20 meters, Brian, there's been an effort to try to organize AM activity around 14,330. It used to be 14,286 many years ago. And then that was in conflict with, I think, some slow scan television coordination. So the migration took place up band to 14,330. There's a guy in Arizona who recently is organizing some evening activity there, as a matter of fact. Clark, W7WRX. You might listen for him on 330. He's running a Johnson 500 QRO, so should be able to make the trip. And, of course, there's still activity on 15 and 10 meters as well there for Buck's part. You guys already know that. So, Buck, let me kick it back over to you. I'll say good evening to both Brian and Larry and yourself, and I'll render this audio file and mail it off to your email address there, and you can hear how you sound. Hope you'll be back. Spend some more time with us on AM. And certainly welcome at any time there. Nice to make your acquaintance, too. Wb4Lol, Southwest Virginia. Is that Tazewell or Tazwell? I forget how to pronounce that there, Buck. From WA3VJB, Annapolis.
All real good. Forgot what you asked me already, but we're running a little bit louder on the mic gain, so maybe that helps a little bit there. What was that last question there? Oh, you asked if it was Tazewell or Tazwell. It's Tazwell. Even though it's spelled like Tazewell. It took me a while to get used to it when I moved here. But today all we did, we spent hours and hours up on the mountain looking for those morel mushrooms, and we found a couple, so they're starting to come out, and we're going to look for some more of those tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have enough for dinner there. But thanks for picking me up, guys, and we'll look online and look up some settings there, and maybe the next time you hear me here on AM, I'll sound a little bit better. And we look forward to talking to you guys again, and I'm going to jump out of here and see how hot my equipment is. And we'll say 73s to the group there. This is WB4LOL. Thanks again, guys, for picking me up.